The morning sun hadn't yet cleared the Pacific horizon when Lieutenant Reese Hawkins completed her 200th push-up. 5:30 a.m. at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado. The air tasted of salt and diesel fuel. Her arms burned. Her breath came in controlled bursts. She didn't stop. Around her 30 Navy SEALs mirrored her movements. Up, down, the rhythm of warriors, the cadence of men who'd earned their trident through hell itself, and one woman who'd done the same. Reese Hawkins stood 5'3" in boots, 125 pounds soaking wet, the smallest operator on SEAL Team 5 by 70 pounds. At 26 years old, she'd been a SEAL for exactly 2 years, 3 months, and 14 days. Some mornings she still couldn't believe they'd let her in. Most mornings she made damn sure nobody regretted it. Her fingers found the dog tags hanging against her chest. The metal was warm from her body heat. She didn't need to read the inscription. She'd memorized it 13 years ago. Master Chief Warren Hawkins, SEAL Team 3, killed in action, Helmand Province, Afghanistan, March 15, 2011. Her father, the man who'd taught her to fight before she could ride a bike. The man who'd written a notebook full of combat techniques designed specifically for her small frame. The man who'd promised to watch her graduate from Buddhas. He never got the chance. Time. Master Chief Emmett Cole's voice cut through the dawn like a blade. Recovery stretch. Move. Reese rose smoothly, not a single tremor in her arms despite 200 push-ups. She'd learned long ago that showing weakness invited questions, questions invited doubt, and doubt got people killed. Cole caught her eye from across the formation. 62 years old, gray hair cropped short, face like weathered leather stretched over iron. He'd served with her father in Mogadishu back in '93. Had been there when Warren Hawkins fought 4 men hand-to-hand to save his team. Cole had made a promise to her father. Watch over my girl if I don't come home. He'd kept that promise for 13 years. The team stretched in silence. Professional, focused. This was her family now. These men who'd seen her push through Hell Week, who'd watched her earn every single inch of respect she possessed. Then the buses arrived. 3 olive-drab transport vehicles rumbled through the main gate. United States Marine Corps insignia on their doors. Reese felt the shift in atmosphere immediately. SEALs and Marines had a complicated relationship. Mutual respect tinged with rivalry. Each branch certain they were tougher, better, more elite. The buses disgorged their cargo. 6 Marines, all male, all carrying themselves with that particular force recon swagger. The kind of confidence that came from jumping out of perfectly good aircraft and considering it a normal Tuesday. Reese recognized the type immediately. She'd grown up around men like this. Her father had been one. The lead Marine stepped forward. 6'2", maybe 195. Shoulders like a linebacker. Jaw that could have been cut from granite. Staff Sergeant stripes on his sleeve. His name tape read Brennan. Master Chief Cole approached with his hand extended. Master Chief Emmett Cole. Welcome to Coronado. Brennan shook. Firm grip. Assessing eyes that swept the assembled SEALs like a general surveying troops. His gaze found Reese. It lingered there for exactly 2 seconds. His lip curled. Staff Sergeant Jack Brennan, Force Recon. His voice carried across the formation. Parade ground volume, meant to be heard by everyone. My team's here for the joint training exercise. 2 weeks of cross-branch integration, outstanding. Cole gestured toward the SEALs. My team's ready to work with you. We'll be running combined ops, sharing tactics, building unit cohesion. Brennan's eyes found Reese again, held there. Something flickered across his face. Disbelief, contempt, amusement. All of your team. The question dripped skepticism. Reese knew what was coming. She'd heard variations of it her entire career. At basic, at Buddhas. During every training evolution and deployment workup. The doubt never got old because it never went away. It just got louder. Brennan turned to his Marines, raised his voice another notch. Looks like Naval Special Warfare has updated their standards, boys. A theatrical pause. Wonder if they updated their coffee-making requirements too. Laughter from the Marines. Uncertain silence from the SEALs. Reese felt 30 pairs of eyes slide toward her. She didn't move, didn't react, just maintained her position of attention, gaze fixed on the middle distance, a technique her father had taught her when she was 12 years old. When they try to get under your skin, baby girl, you become stone, you become water, you become air, anything but what they expect. Brennan walked closer, his boots crunched on gravel. He stopped 3 feet from Reese, close enough to invade personal space, far enough to maintain plausible deniability. "What's your rate, sailor, not lieutenant?" "Not ma'am." Just the deliberate disrespect of ignoring her rank entirely. Reese met his eyes. Level, calm, Lieutenant Reese Hawkins, SEAL Team 5, SEAL. He dragged the word out, turned it into something obscene. "And how long have you been playing SEAL Lieutenant 2 years Staff Sergeant?" 2 whole years. Brennan whistled low, shook his head, turned to address his Marines again. "Boys, we got ourselves a seasoned veteran here. 2 years. He turned back to Reese, smiled, the kind of smile that held no warmth at all. "Tell me, Lieutenant, they make Bud-ass easier for you. Lower that obstacle wall a few feet. Maybe let you skip the cold water evolutions." Reese's jaw tightened. The only visible reaction she allowed herself. "Same course, Staff Sergeant. Same standards. Same Hell Week." "Sure." Brennan's smile widened. "I believe that. I really do." He raised his voice again, addressing the entire formation now. "I'm sure the Navy gave you the exact same standards as the men. Exact same. No political pressure, no diversity quotas, no senators making phone calls." He leaned in close, so close that only Reese and the nearest SEALs could hear his next words. "Try not to cry, Princess. It's only 2 weeks." The words hit like a physical blow. Reese's hands curled into fists at her sides. Every muscle in her body screamed to move, to respond, to wipe that smug expression off his face. But she was stone. She was water. She was air. Staff Sergeant, flat, emotionless, giving him nothing. Brennan held her gaze for another 3 seconds. Then he turned away, dismissing her entirely, addressing Master Chief Cole as if Reese had ceased to exist. "My Marines are ready to train, Master Chief, assuming we're actually here to train and not to babysit." Cole's face had gone carefully blank, the kind of blank that came from 32 years of military service and learning when to pick your battles. "We're here to train, Staff Sergeant. Let's get your team squared away." The formation broke. Marines moving toward their assigned barracks, SEALs dispersing for pre-breakfast personal time. Reese held her position until everyone else had moved. Then she walked, not toward the barracks, toward the beach. She needed to run. As she passed the vehicle lot, she caught a glimpse of Brennan near one of the buses. He stood alone for a moment. His hand reached into his pocket and pulled out a worn leather wallet. He opened it, stared at something inside. A photograph. A young woman. Dark hair. Bright smile. Couldn't have been more than 20. Even from 30 feet away, Reese could see his expression change. The arrogance melted away, replaced by something else. Something that looked almost like grief, like guilt. His lips moved. A single word. A name, maybe. Too quiet to hear. Then he noticed her watching. The wallet snapped shut. The mask slammed back into place. He turned away without a word. Reese filed the moment away and kept walking. The next 12 days unfolded like a masterclass in psychological warfare. Brennan and his Marines integrated into every training evolution, every briefing, every meal, and at every opportunity the comments came. Day 2. Small arms range. Reese was firing rifle qualifications. 40 rounds at 300 yards. Iron sights. Wind gusting at 15 knots from the northwest. She called her shots, controlled her breathing, squeezed the trigger between heartbeats. The way her father had taught her before she could write in cursive. 40 rounds, 40 hits, dead center mass, perfect score. Brennan watched from the observation booth, his voice carried through the open window. "Must be nice having adjustable targets. Bet they set hers 10 yards closer." Laughter from his Marines. Reese ejected her magazine, cleared her weapon, said nothing. Day 5. Combat water survival training. Full gear, 50-pound ruck, weapons, 2-mile ocean swim in 62-degree water. The cold didn't bother Reese. She'd grown up swimming in these waters, had learned to love the Pacific's icy embrace during Hell Week. The cold was familiar, almost comforting. She finished the swim 8 minutes ahead of the next fastest time, emerged from the surf breathing hard but controlled. No shivering, no hypothermia symptoms. Brennan was waiting on the beach. Lucky current today. Probably had it easier being so small. Less body mass to drag through the water. Reese wrung water from her hair. I, Staff Sergeant, Day 8, close quarters battle drills in the kill house, live fire exercises with real ammunition, the most dangerous training the SEALs conducted, where one mistake meant someone went home in a box. Reese's team breached 6 rooms, engaged 42 targets, 0 civilian casualties, 0 friendly fire incidents, completion time 93 seconds, textbook perfect. Brennan reviewed the video footage afterward, shook his head with theatrical disappointment. Anybody can shoot paper. Combat's different. When real bullets start coming back at you, we'll see who freezes. His corporal, a man named Trey Lawson with Taekwondo black belt patches on his gym bag, nodded agreement. Women aren't wired for violence. It's just biology. When it gets real, instinct takes over. Reese was cleaning her weapon 15 feet away. She heard every word, said nothing. Day 10, evening chow. Reese was leaving the mess hall when she saw Brennan sitting alone on a bench near the memorial wall, the same wall where her father's name was engraved in bronze. He didn't see her. His wallet was open again. He stared at that photograph, the dark-haired girl with the bright smile. His thumb traced the edge of the picture with something that looked like tenderness. His lips moved. The same word as before. Still too quiet to hear. But this time Reese was closer, close enough to read his lips. Molly. A name. His shoulders shook. Just once. A single tremor of emotion quickly suppressed. He wiped his eyes with the back of his hand, angry at himself for the weakness. Reese stepped back into the shadows. Watch for another moment. Whatever demons Jack Brennan carried, they were heavy ones. Whoever Molly was, her memory haunted him, drove him, maybe explained the cruelty he aimed at every woman who dared to serve. It didn't excuse his behavior, but it explained something. People who lashed out that hard were usually running from something harder. She filed that away too. Day 11, hand-to-hand combat refresher training. The gym was packed with operators from both services. Crash mats covering the floor, the smell of sweat and determination thick in the air. The SEAL instructor called for demonstration volunteers. I need 2 people. 1 experienced grappler, 1 striker. We're going to show integrated fighting technique. Before Reese could process what was happening, Brennan's voice boomed across the gym. I volunteer Lieutenant Hawkins. The gym went quiet. Reese turned. Brennan was smiling. That same unfriendly smile from day 1. Come on, Lieutenant. Show us what female SEAL standards really look like. I'm genuinely curious. The instructor frowned. Staff Sergeant, I don't think that's no disrespect, Chief, but we're supposed to be training together, right? Cross-branch integration. Brennan gestured to his team. Corporal Lawson here has a 3rd-degree black belt in Taekwondo. He'll be gentle. Lawson stepped forward. 5'9", maybe 170. Lean and flexible. His grin matched Brennan's. I'll go easy, ma'am. Wouldn't want you getting hurt. Reese looked at the instructor. The chief's expression said he knew exactly what was happening. Political theater. A setup designed to humiliate. He gave her a barely perceptible nod. Your call. Reese stepped onto the mat. No ceremony. No warming up. Just movement. Okay, the instructor spoke slowly. We'll do a light demonstration, 20% speed. Just showing technique. Nah, Brennan's voice cut through. Let's make it real. Full speed. Full contact. Let's see what a SEAL can actually do. The gym had gone completely silent. 60 operators watching, waiting. This was about more than training. This was about proving a point Brennan had been making for 12 straight days. Women didn't belong here. The instructor looked at Reese. Lieutenant, you comfortable with that? Reese faced Lawson, analyzed his stance, weight distribution, the slight forward lean of a kicker, the loose shoulders of someone confident in their striking. Her father's voice whispered through her memory. Every opponent tells you how to beat them, baby girl. You just have to listen. Yes, Chief. Full contact is fine. Lawson's grin widened. He bounced on the balls of his feet, loose, relaxed, already planning his spinning kick highlight reel. The instructor sighed. All right. Standard sparring rules. No strikes to groin or throat. No eye gouging. Match continues until someone taps, says stop, or I call it. He looked between them. Touch gloves. Keep it professional. They touched gloves. Reese's hands looked tiny against Lawson's. Ready. The instructor raised his hand. Go. Lawson exploded forward immediately. A feinting jab followed by a spinning back kick. Textbook taekwondo. The kick was fast. Well executed. Would have looked spectacular on a highlight reel. Reese wasn't there. She'd read the setup the moment Lawson shifted his weight, had seen the telegraphed rotation in his hips. The spin was committed. No way to adjust mid-motion. She stepped inside the arc of his kick, let his momentum carry him past her. Lawson completed his spin slightly off balance, searching for a target that had moved. Reese was behind him now. She hooked his lead leg with her foot. Simple sweep, using his own forward momentum against him. Lawson's eyes widened as his balance disappeared. He went down hard, back slamming into the mat. Reese followed him down, dropped into side control. Lawson was good. He immediately tried to bridge, tried to create space, but Reese had already trapped his arm, her legs locked around his neck and shoulder in a perfect arm triangle choke. Lawson's other arm came up, trying to push her off. The obvious defense, the expected response. Reese used that momentum, rolled them both, ended up mounted on his chest. The arm triangle locked deeper, her shoulder pressing into one side of his neck, his own shoulder pressing into the other. The carotid arteries compressed. Blood flow to the brain cut off. Lawson's eyes went wide. He tried to buck her off, tried to push, tried to escape. Nothing worked. His face started turning red, then purple. He tapped. 3 quick slaps against the mat. Reese released immediately, rolled off. Rose to her feet. Lawson gasped and coughed on the ground. 18 seconds, start to finish. The gym stayed silent. You could have heard a pin drop in the next building. Reese extended her hand to Lawson. After a moment, he took it. She pulled him to his feet. Good match, Corporal. Lawson rubbed his throat, stared at her with something new in his eyes. Where did you learn that? My father. He taught me to grapple before I could ride a bike. Brennan's voice shattered the moment. Lucky shot. Anyone can get lucky once. The silence broke. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. The instructor moved between Reese and Lawson, ready to call things done. But Reese had heard enough. 12 days of insults. 12 days of being called princess. 12 days of watching Brennan poison every Marine against her before they'd even had a chance to form their own opinions. 12 days of being stone, being water, being air. Enough. Actually, Staff Sergeant. Reese's voice carried across the gym. Clear, strong, not angry, just certain. I have a proposal. Brennan's eyebrows rose. Oh, the princess wants to negotiate. You have 6 Marines. I'm 1 SEAL. Reese walked toward him, stopped 10 feet away. Every eye in the gym tracked her movement. Seems like uneven odds to me. So let's settle this. Settle what exactly? Whether I belong here, whether I earned my trident, whether everything you've said for 12 days has any truth to it. The gym had gone silent again. Different this time. Electric. Anticipation crackling through the air like static before a storm. I'll fight your entire squad. 1-on-1. 6 consecutive matches. Full contact. No time limit except exhaustion. Brennan stared at her. For the first time since he'd arrived, he looked uncertain. The cocky smile faltered. And if you lose, Reese didn't hesitate. I request a transfer off SEAL Team 5. Out of Naval Special Warfare entirely. You win. I'm gone. The words hung in the air like smoke after an explosion. Master Chief Cole pushed through the crowd. Hawkins, stand down. You don't have to prove anything to. I'm not finished, Master Chief. Reese kept her eyes locked on Brennan. If I win, you issue a formal apology. Written, public. Documented in your permanent file. To every female service member on this base. Brennan's jaw tightened. You're serious. Dead serious. 1 week to prepare. Saturday night. Right here in this gym. You pick the order. You pick the rules. Full contact. No restrictions except what the referee calls. She stepped closer. Close enough to see the uncertainty flickering behind his eyes. Unless you're worried 6 Force Recon Marines can't handle one princess. The challenge hung between them. Brennan's Marines shifted uncomfortably. They just watched Lawson get submitted in 18 seconds. But there were 5 more of them. And Brennan himself. 6 on 1. Even with what they'd just witnessed, those odds seemed impossible. Captain Morrison's voice cut through the tension. The base commander had entered without anyone noticing. Former SEAL himself. His expression was unreadable. That's a significant proposition, Lieutenant Hawkins. He looked at Brennan. Staff Sergeant. You willing to accept these terms? Brennan glanced at his Marines. One by one they nodded, confident despite what they'd seen. 6 trained fighters against 1 small woman. This would be over in 30 minutes, maybe less. We accept, sir. His smile returned. Harder now, more determined. Can't wait. Morrison nodded slowly. Then it's settled. 1 week from today. 2,000 hours. This gymnasium. Mandatory attendance, base-wide. He looked at Reese. Make it count, Lieutenant. The gym cleared slowly after that. Marines talking among themselves. Planning. Strategizing. SEALs quieter. Supportive but uncertain. Reese stayed on the mat, processing what she'd just done. Her career. Everything she'd worked for since she was 13 years old. On the line. 1 night. 6 fights. Winner take all. Cole found her there 20 minutes later. That was either the bravest thing I've ever seen or the dumbest. His voice was gruff, but not angry. Want to tell me what the hell you're thinking? I'm thinking I'm tired of being tested, Master Chief. Tired of proving myself over and over to people who've already decided I don't belong. So you bet your entire career on 1 night? Reese finally looked at him. I bet my career on what my father taught me, on everything he believed I could become. Cole was quiet for a long moment, his weathered face unreadable. Then he nodded slowly. Your father would either be incredibly proud or absolutely terrified right now. Probably both. Cole almost smiled. Probably both. He turned to leave, stopped at the edge of the mat. Whatever you need this week, training partners, advice, anything, you come to me. Thank you, Master Chief. Cole nodded once and walked away. That night, Reese sat alone in her quarters, the door locked, the lights dim, the only sound her own breathing. She opened her footlocker, pushed aside her dress uniforms, her gear, her carefully organized equipment. Her fingers found worn leather in the back corner. She pulled out the notebook she'd kept hidden for 13 years. It had arrived with her father's personal effects after he died, along with his dog tags, his trident pin, his worn black belt from 2 decades of Krav Maga training. She'd never opened the notebook, not once in 13 years. Part of her had been afraid that reading his words would make his death real in a way that seeing his coffin hadn't. Afraid that his voice on the page would break something inside her that she'd spent 13 years holding together. But tonight was different. Tonight she needed him. Reese opened the cover. The first page was written in her father's neat, precise handwriting, the script of an engineer and a warrior. For Reese, my ghost, my warrior. If you're reading this while I'm teaching you in person, then we're right on schedule. These are the techniques I've designed specifically for you. For your size, your speed, your flexibility, everything you'll become. If you're reading this without me, it means I didn't come home. It means Cole kept his promise. Baby girl, I'm sorry I'm not there, but I need you to know something. I started writing this the day you were born. I looked at you so small, so perfect, and I knew you'd face a world that would try to tell you what you couldn't do, what you couldn't be. So I built you a weapon, not a gun, not a knife, a system. I call it Phantom Protocol. Learn it, master it. And when the day comes that someone tells you you're too small, too weak, too female to fight, you show them what a ghost can do. Reese's hands trembled. She turned the page. Diagrams, techniques, principles, page after page of her father's knowledge distilled into a fighting system designed for one person. Her. Chapter 1. The Physics of Small. Why size is only a disadvantage if you let them think it is. Chapter 2. Speed over strength. How to move before they understand what's happening. Chapter 3. The breaking points. Every joint, every weakness, every vulnerability the human body tries to hide. She read until dawn. When the first light of morning crept through her window, Reese had consumed half the notebook. Her eyes burned. Her heart ached. But for the first time in 13 years, she felt her father beside her. His voice in her head, his wisdom in her hands, his love in every carefully drawn diagram and precisely written instruction. 1 week, 6 Marines, and the weapon her father had spent a lifetime building for exactly this moment. Try not to cry, princess. Brennan had said that to her, twice now, each time dripping with contempt. Reese closed the notebook, pressed it against her chest. I won't cry, Dad. Not until the job is done, just like you taught me. She thought about Brennan, about the photograph in his wallet, about the name on his lips. Molly. Whoever she was, she haunted him, drove his cruelty, fueled his need to prove that women didn't belong in combat. Maybe one day Reese would understand why. But first she had work to do. She set the notebook on her desk, opened it to page 1, and began to study. The 7 days that followed redefined Reese Hawkins's understanding of exhaustion. 4:30 every morning, before anyone else on base stirred, before the sun even thought about rising. Reese was already moving. She had read her father's notebook cover to cover 3 times by day 2. Every page memorized, every principle internalized, every technique cataloged in her mind like weapons in an armory. But reading wasn't enough. Phantom Protocol wasn't just theory, it was physics, it was timing, it was the marriage of technique and instinct that could only be forged through repetition. Thousands of repetitions. Day 1 focused on conditioning, not normal conditioning, not even SEAL conditioning, something beyond that. Reese found an empty training room at 04:30, set up a rotation of sparring partners, SEALs who believed in her, men who'd watched her earn her trident and knew what she was capable of. 10 rounds, 5 minutes each, fresh opponent every round, 30 seconds rest between. The first 3 rounds felt manageable, controlled, technical. Round 4, her lungs started burning. Round 5, her arms felt like lead weights. Round 6, she made mistakes, got taken down, fought from her back for 3 minutes straight. Round 7, she vomited in the corner of the room, drank water, had exactly 60 seconds to recover. Round 8. You're fighting 6 men back to back. Master Chief Cole's voice cut through her exhaustion. He'd shown up unannounced, watching from the doorway. 2-minute rest between each. You need to learn to fight when your body is screaming at you to quit. Reese wiped her mouth, stepped back onto the mat. Round 8, round 9, round 10. 50 minutes of continuous combat. When it was over, Reese could barely stand. Her vision swam. Her legs trembled. Every muscle fiber in her body felt shredded. Cole handed her water. His expression gave nothing away. Same time tomorrow, and the day after, until fighting exhausted feels normal. Reese nodded. Couldn't speak, just drank. Day 2 shifted to technical work. Her father's notebook opened beside the mat. Page 15, the section that had kept her awake the night before. Small joints break before large muscles tire. Target the fingers, the wrists, the elbows, the knees. Quick strikes. Devastating effect. Move before they understand what happened. Cole worked with her for 14 hours straight. Just joint manipulation. His hands became targets. His wrists became levers. His fingers became vulnerabilities. Your father was an engineer before he was a SEAL. Cole's voice was distant. Remembering. He understood that human bodies are just machines. Machines have tolerances. Exceed those tolerances and the machine breaks. Reese drilled the same technique 500 times, then 500 more. Her hands ached, her fingers cramped. She kept going. Every finger is a lever. Every wrist is a fulcrum. Every elbow is a hinge designed to bend one direction. Make it bend the other direction, and the fight ends. By midnight, Reese could execute joint locks in her sleep, could find the weak points blindfolded, could feel the moment when pressure became pain, became structural failure. Day 3 was reconnaissance, her father's second rule. Page 23. Every warrior has a tell. Find it in 10 seconds, exploit it in one move. Reese spent the entire day watching Brennan's Marines during their normal training rotations. She sat in observation areas, lingered near workout spaces, studied them like a sniper studied targets through a scope. Corporal Trey Lawson, the Taekwondo black belt she'd already beaten. He'd be angry, embarrassed, wanting revenge. That made him predictable. He'd come hard and fast, try to redeem himself with something spectacular. His tell was obvious now that she knew to look for it. Every spinning technique started with the same weight shift, the same hip rotation. He telegraphed his kicks a full second before they launched. Lance Corporal Damon Riggs. They called him a street fighter, no formal training, just raw aggression and heavy hands. He'd grown up fighting in bars and back alleys. Scars on his knuckles told the story. His tell was even more obvious. Every punch started with a massive windup. His shoulder dropped, his elbow cocked back. He threw bombs, not jabs. Powerful but predictable. She could read his attacks from across the room. Corporal Shane Buckley, the wrestler, college level, maybe Division I based on his technique. Low center of gravity, excellent pressure, suffocating top control when he got you down. But wrestlers had patterns, muscle memory carved through thousands of hours on the mat. Buckley's takedowns all started the same way. Same level change, same penetration step, same angle of attack, every single time. Corporal Nate Fielding, Muay Thai trained, the most technically dangerous striker in the group. Clean technique, good combinations, proper mechanics. He'd actually studied the art instead of just collecting techniques. His tell was subtle. Took Reese 3 hours to find it. When Fielding transitioned between strikes, there was a moment, a fraction of a second. His chin came up, his neck extended, exposed. Sergeant Wade Harmon, they called him Tiny, ironic, 6'4", 240 pounds of solid muscle. The biggest man Reese would face by far. Harmon relied on his size, used his reach to control distance, used his weight to overwhelm opponents. Most people crumbled under pressure from a man that big, but size required energy. Holding up 240 pounds of muscle burned fuel fast. Reese watched him during evening PT. Noted the moment when fatigue set in. His arms got heavy, his guard dropped, specifically his left hand. An old habit, probably from years of carrying heavy weapons where the support hand did most of the work. When Harmon got tired, his left side opened up like a door. And then there was Brennan himself, Staff Sergeant Jack Brennan, Golden Gloves boxer, 12 years of competition experience, undefeated in military tournaments, technical, disciplined, smart. Reese watched him hit the heavy bag for 2 hours. His right cross was devastating. His left jab was razor sharp. His footwork was textbook perfect. Every combination flowed like water. But there was something else. She watched long enough and she saw it. The right shoulder. When Brennan fully extended his right hand just for a split second, his face tightened. Pain. Old injury. Rotator cuff tear maybe. Something that never healed properly. He favored that shoulder. Subtly. Almost invisibly. Compensated with technique and discipline. But it was there. A crack in the armor. Reese recorded everything in a small notebook. Her observations on one side, her father's principles on the other. Building a battle plan for each opponent like an architect designing a building meant to withstand earthquakes. Day 4 focused on speed work. Your father used to say, fast beats strong. Cole worked the pads while Reese threw combinations. Smart beats fast, but fast and smart together. That's unstoppable. They drilled transitions, guard passes, sweeps, submissions. But everything had to flow. No pauses, no resets, no thinking. One technique into the next. Reese's body learned to move without conscious thought. Muscle memory carved into place through repetition. Thousands of repetitions becoming tens of thousands. When your opponent moves left, you've already moved right. When they push, you've already pulled. When they think they have you, you're already gone. Phantom. By the end of day 4, Reese could flow through 12 different techniques in under 10 seconds. Seamless, fluid, like water finding the path of least resistance. Day 5 brought mental preparation. Close your eyes. Cole's voice was calm, steady, like a meditation instructor who'd seen combat in 3 different wars. Visualize each fight, beginning to end. See yourself winning. Feel yourself winning. Reese sat cross-legged on the mat, eyes closed, breathing controlled. Your mind can't tell the difference between vivid visualization and real experience. So we give your mind 6 victories before you step on that mat. She visualized Lawson's angry spinning kick, saw herself step inside the arc, felt the sweep, the control, the submission, the tap. She visualized Riggs charging forward like a bull, saw the telegraphed haymaker, felt herself slip inside, take his back, sink the choke until his body went limp. She visualized Buckley's predictable shot, saw herself sprawl, circle behind, take control of his back while he was still figuring out what happened. She visualized Fielding's Muay Thai combinations, saw the moment his chin rose during transition, felt her hands find his neck, the squeeze, the tap. She visualized Harmon's massive frame, saw his guard drop as fatigue set in, felt herself launch into the air, the flying armbar, the leverage, the finish. She visualized Brennan, the hardest one, the final boss, saw his boxing, his technique, his discipline, saw his right shoulder, the weakness he tried to hide, saw herself take him down, control him, finish him. 6 fights, 6 victories, all in her mind. When she opened her eyes, 4 hours had passed. Day 6 was recovery, sort of. Cole made her swim. Easy distance, 20 laps in the base pool. Let the cold water leach the soreness from her muscles. Ice baths for 20 minutes. The cold so intense it burned, her body screaming while her mind stayed quiet. Finding peace in the pain, massage therapy, nutrition, hydration, sleep. Tomorrow was the fight. Her body needed to be fresh, but her mind needed something else. That evening, Reese returned to her quarters, sat on her bunk, opened her father's notebook one final time. Page 83, her father's last entry. Written the week before he deployed to Afghanistan, the week before he died. The handwriting was slightly shakier than earlier entries, as if he'd known somehow. Known that this might be his last. Reese, if you're reading this, I'm probably gone. I'm sorry I won't be there to see you become what I know you'll be. The strongest, the smartest, the most capable warrior I could imagine. But here's what I need you to remember. Being strong isn't about never falling. It's about standing back up. Being brave isn't about never being scared. It's about fighting anyway. And being a warrior isn't about never crying. It's about crying, wiping your eyes, and getting back to work. I love you, baby girl. Make them remember your name. Dad. Reese read the words 3 times. She thought about the last 13 years. Every time she'd wanted to break down. Every time grief had threatened to swallow her whole. Every time she'd wanted to scream at a universe that had taken her father before she was ready. She hadn't cried. Not once. Not at the funeral. Not on the anniversary. Not when she graduated Buddhas and he wasn't there to pin on her trident. She'd told herself it was strength, discipline, control. But reading his words now, she understood something different. It wasn't strength that had kept her tears locked away. It was fear. Fear that if she started crying, she'd never stop. Fear that the grief would drown her. Fear that allowing herself to feel would break something she couldn't repair. Her father hadn't wanted that. He'd wanted her to feel everything, to cry when she needed to cry, and then to wipe her eyes and keep fighting. Tears after the mission, not during. Tomorrow she had a mission. Reese closed the notebook, reached into the footlocker, pulled out the final item, her father's black belt, Krav Maga, earned in 1990, worn for 15 years, every training session, every deployment, every fight that mattered. The fabric was soft, faded from black to gray in places, worn smooth by decades of use. Reese held it for a long moment, then she wrapped it around her waist. Saturday arrived with cruel cheerfulness. Bright sunshine, 72 degrees, light breeze from the ocean, perfect Southern California weather for a day that would change everything. Reese's stomach felt like concrete. At 1800 hours, 2 hours before the fight, she sat alone in her quarters. Father's notebook on her lap, trident pin on the desk, dog tags around her neck, black belt tied around her waist, a knock on her door. "Come in." Master Chief Cole entered. His face was serious, professional, but Reese saw the warmth in his eyes, the pride he was trying to hide. "How you feeling terrified?" "Good." Cole almost smiled. "Your father was terrified before every mission. Said fear kept you sharp, made you careful. Only idiots weren't scared. He used to tell me that." Cole sat on the chair across from her, studied her for a long moment. "You know you don't have to do this. Nobody would blame you for backing out. These odds are impossible. I'm not backing out." Reese met his eyes. "This isn't about proving anything to them anymore. It's about proving something to myself." "What's that?" "That everything my father taught me was real. That I can do what he said I could do. That I'm the warrior he believed I'd become." Cole was quiet for a long time, his weathered face unreadable. Then he nodded. "Your father would be terrified right now." He paused, but he'd also be prouder than he'd ever been in his life. He stood, headed for the door, stopped with his hand on the frame. 2,000 hours. Don't be late, Master Chief. Yeah, thank you. For everything. For keeping your promise to him. Cole's jaw tightened. Something flickered in his eyes. 13 years of watching over her. 13 years of keeping his word to a dead friend. Your father saved my life in Mogadishu. Watching over you was never a burden, Reese. It was an honor. He left. Reese sat alone for another hour, breathing, centering, preparing. At 19:30 she stood, checked herself in the mirror, black shorts, gray navy t-shirt, her father's belt around her waist, his dog tags against her chest. She looked small, 5'3", 125 pounds, about to fight 6 men who outweighed her by 50 to 100 pounds each. She looked like an underdog. Good. Underdogs had nothing to lose. 2,000 hours. The gymnasium was packed. Every SEAL on base, every Marine, support personnel, officers and enlisted. Maybe 400 people crammed into a space meant for 200. The noise was overwhelming. Conversations overlapping. Speculation running wild. Betting pools being finalized. Most people thought she'd lose. The odds were impossible. 6 trained fighters, back to back. No matter how good she was, exhaustion would get her eventually. In the center of the gymnasium, a regulation boxing ring. Ropes, canvas, proper lighting. The base commander had made this official. Sanctioned. Legal. Reese entered through the side door. She wore her father's belt over her PT gear. Nothing else decorated, nothing fancy. Just a warrior walking to war. The crowd saw her. Noise dropped by half. Whispers, pointing, speculation. Master Chief Cole waited in her corner. He'd assembled a proper team. 2 SEALs to work the corner between rounds. Water, towels, medical supplies if needed. Reese climbed through the ropes. The canvas felt solid under her feet. Real. This was happening. Across the ring, Brennan and his Marines were laughing. Loose, confident. Lawson shadow boxing, Fielding stretching. Buckley and Riggs bumping fists. Harmon cracking his massive knuckles. Brennan caught Reese's eye, smiled, mouthed 2 words. Try crying. Reese stared back. Let her mind go quiet. Let her father's training take over. Captain Morrison climbed into the ring. He carried a microphone. Good evening. What we're about to witness is an exhibition match sanctioned under military regulations governing hand-to-hand combat training. Medical personnel are standing by. He paused. Let the gravity settle. Rules are simple. Standard MMA regulations. No strikes to groin or throat. No eye gouging or fish hooking. Match continues until submission knockout or referee stoppage. He looked at Reese. Lieutenant Hawkins will face 6 opponents consecutively. 2-minute rest between each match. Fight order has been determined by the challenging party. His eyes moved to Brennan. Staff Sergeant, confirm your lineup. Brennan stepped forward. Lawson, Riggs, Buckley, Fielding, Harmon, then me, saving himself for last, when she'd be most exhausted, when he could finish what his men started. Smart. Morrison nodded. Lieutenant Hawkins, do you accept these terms? Yes, sir. Staff Sergeant Brennan, do your Marines accept these terms? Yes, sir. Brennan's smile widened. We accept. Then let's begin. The crowd roared. First match, Lieutenant Reese Hawkins versus Corporal Trey Lawson. Lawson entered the ring. He'd removed his shirt, lean muscles, taekwondo tattoo on his ribs. He bounced on his toes, eager, angry, ready to avenge his embarrassment from 5 days ago. Reese walked to center ring. The referee called them together. I want a clean fight. Protect yourselves at all times. Touch gloves. They touched gloves. Ready. The referee raised his arm. Fight! Lawson came forward fast, feigning jab, feigning low kick, setting up his spinning back kick. The same technique she'd beaten before, but faster this time, angrier. Reese knew it was coming, had visualized this exact sequence 100 times. The spin started. Beautiful technique. Fast. Powerful. Reese stepped inside the arc. Let his momentum carry him past. Lawson completed the spin slightly off balance. Reese hooked his lead leg. Simple sweep. Lawson crashed to the mat. Reese dropped into side control. Trapped his arm. Locked the triangle. Tighter this time. Faster. No hesitation. Lawson's face went red. Purple. He tapped. 3 quick slaps. Reese released. Stood. 15 seconds. The crowd erupted. First fight done. 5 to go. Lawson left the ring holding his throat. His teammates helped him to a bench. Their expressions had changed. Less confident now. Reese returned to her corner. Cole handed her water. Drink. Small sips. 2 minutes goes fast. She drank. The water was cold. Perfect. Across the ring, Brennan's expression had shifted. The easy confidence was cracking. The referee called time. Second match. Lieutenant Hawkins versus Lance Corporal Damon Riggs. Riggs entered the ring. Street fighter. 6'1". 200 pounds. Tattoos covering both arms. Broken nose that had healed crooked. He didn't bounce or shadow box. Just walked to center ring with a predator's focus. Nothing personal, ma'am. Just doing my job. Understood, Corporal. Fight. Riggs charged immediately. No technique. No setup. Just raw aggression. A wild right hook aimed at Reese's head. The kind of punch that would end the fight if it landed. Reese had watched him all week. Knew this was coming. Every punch started the same way. Big windup. Telegraphed from 3 moves away. She stepped inside the arc of his swing. Let his fist pass over her shoulder. Riggs's momentum carried him forward. Off balance. Committed. Classic judo hip throw. Her hip became a fulcrum. His body mass became leverage. Riggs went airborne. He hit the canvas hard. 200 pounds of Marine slamming into mat from 4 feet up. The impact drove the air from his lungs. Reese heard the wheeze. But Riggs was tough. Started pushing up immediately, trying to get back to his feet. Reese didn't let him. Dropped onto his back as he rose to hands and knees. Wrapped her legs around his waist. Arms snaking around his throat. Rear naked choke. One arm across the throat. The other hand gripping her own bicep. His neck trapped in the V. Riggs's hands came up. Grabbed her forearm. Tried to pull it away. He was strong. Much stronger than Reese. His grip felt like iron. But strength didn't matter here. The choke was locked. Proper technique. Perfect angle. Riggs tried to stand. Actually managed it. Rose to his feet with Reese on his back like a backpack. The crowd gasped. He stumbled forward. Tried to ram her into the corner post. Tried to crush her against the ropes. Reese squeezed tighter. His pulse hammered against her forearm. Fast at first, then slower. His steps became unsteady. Wobbled. Buckled. They went down together. Riggs's arms went slack. His body went limp. The referee rushed in. Stop! He's out! Reese released, rolled away. 23 seconds. Medical team checked Riggs. 30 seconds later, his eyes fluttered open. Confusion, disorientation, then awareness. He looked at Reese. Something like respect flickered across his face. They helped him from the ring. 2 down, 4 to go. Reese returned to her corner. Her breathing was harder now. 2 fights, 2 submissions. But she'd had to work harder than the first match. Cole grabbed her shoulders. Good. Perfect technique. But you're breathing harder. Drink more. Sit down. Reese sat, drank. Her arms tingled. Adrenaline and lactic acid building. 4 more fights. 4 more men. Each one bigger, stronger, more skilled. The referee called time. 3rd match. Lieutenant Hawkins versus Corporal Shane Buckley. Buckley entered the ring. The wrestler. 6 feet even. 185. Broad shoulders and thick legs. His stance was low, balanced, ready to shoot. Reese had watched him all week. College-level wrestler. His takedowns were powerful. His top pressure was suffocating. But wrestlers had patterns. They touched gloves. Good fight so far, ma'am. His voice was respectful now. But this one's mine. We'll see, Corporal. Fight. Buckley circled, cautious. He'd watched the first 2 matches. Knew rushing in was suicide. He worked angles, probed with his hands, looking for an opening, a moment to shoot. Reese circled opposite, maintaining distance, watching his level, his hips. 30 seconds passed. Neither committed. Buckley feinted a jab, dropped his level, shot in. Perfect double-leg attempt. Fast, explosive. The same setup she'd seen him use 50 times during training week. Reese sprawled, hips driving down, legs shooting back. Buckley's takedown stalled. His hands grabbed at air. Reese circled behind him, took his back while he was on hands and knees. But Buckley was better than Riggs. Technical. He sat to his hip, turned into her, tried to get back to guard. Reese wrapped her legs around his waist, locked a body triangle. Buckley tried to hand fight, tried to prevent the choke. His defensive wrestling was solid, so Reese didn't go for the choke. She controlled his posture instead, one hand on his forehead, pulling back. Her other hand came over his shoulder. Short punches, controlled but firm, striking from back mount. Legal, effective. 1, 2, 3, 4. Buckley tried to defend, tried to cover up. 5, 6, 7. His arms were tiring, defending punches, trying to escape, burning energy. The referee watched closely. More strikes. 8, 9, 10. Buckley's guard dropped, just a fraction. The referee stepped in. Stop. TKO. 2 minutes, 8 seconds. Buckley was conscious, unhurt except for his pride, but he'd been unable to defend, unable to improve position. Reese helped him up. Good match, Corporal. Your wrestling is solid, not solid enough. 3 down, 3 to go. Her corner, water, towel, 2 minutes. Cole's voice low. Halfway there. How you feeling, tired? No point lying. Good. Embrace it. They're tired watching. You're tired doing, but you're winning. The referee called time. 4th match. Lieutenant Hawkins versus Corporal Nate Fielding. Fielding entered carefully. The Muay Thai fighter. 5'11", 180. The best pure striker in Brennan's squad. This would be a real fight, not a mismatch. They met at center ring. Respect, ma'am. But I'm not going out like they did. Understood. Fight. Fielding started orthodox. Traditional Muay Thai stance. Hands high. Elbows tight. Weight balanced. He threw a low kick. Testing. Reese checked it. Shin to shin. Another low kick. Another check. Fielding was working. Building rhythm. Setting patterns. 40 seconds of careful exchange. Both fighters technical. Both measuring distance. Fielding threw a combination. Jab. Cross. Low kick. Reese blocked the first 2. Checked the kick. Then Fielding threw a knee. Fast. Committed. Aimed at her midsection. Reese caught it. Both hands on his shin. Fielding's eyes widened. Balanced on one leg. Committed to the technique. Reese twisted. Used his momentum. Fielding tried to hop back. Tried to pull free. Reese jumped. Flying triangle. Her legs wrapped around his neck and arm while airborne. They crashed to the canvas together. One leg across his throat, the other hooked behind his head, his own arm trapped against his neck. Fielding started working defense immediately. Posture, pressure, trying to stack her. Reese grabbed her own shin, pulled down, tightened the triangle. Fielding fought for 30 seconds, 40, 50. His face turned red, sweat dripping. Finally, he tapped. 1 minute, 44 seconds. Reese released, stood. Fielding rolled away, gasped for air, then pushed himself up, walked to Reese, extended his fist. That was textbook, ma'am. Respect. Reese bumped his fist. 4 down, 2 to go. The crowd was roaring now, SEALs on their feet, even some Marines applauding. But Reese knew the truth. She was exhausted. Her arms shook. Her legs felt distant. 4 fights in 14 minutes. Her body was approaching its limit. 2 left. The biggest and the best. The referee called time. 5th match. Lieutenant Hawkins versus Sergeant Wade Harmon. The crowd fell silent as Harmon climbed through the ropes. They called him tiny. Ironic didn't begin to cover it. 6'4", 240 pounds of solid muscle. The biggest man Reese would face tonight. The biggest she'd ever faced in her life. 115 pounds heavier than her, 13 inches taller, reached like a gorilla. The ring shook slightly under his weight as he walked to center. Reese stood. Her legs barely cooperated. She locked her knees, willed herself upright. They met at center ring. Harmon looked down at her. His expression was almost apologetic. "Ma'am, I don't want to hurt you." "Then don't, Sergeant. Just fight." They touched gloves. Harmon's hands were enormous, made Reese's look like a child's. Fight. Harmon stalked forward slowly, careful. He'd learned from watching 4 teammates lose. Knew rushing in was death. His reach advantage was massive. He could control the center of the ring, control the distance, make Reese come to him. Reese circled. Her footwork felt sluggish. 4 fights of lactic acid accumulation, micro-trauma, exhaustion eating at her speed. Harmon threw a jab, long, snapping. Reese pulled back. The fist passed an inch from her face. Another jab. She slipped. Harmon was testing range, establishing control, patient, smart, using his size exactly right. 30 seconds. Harmon had barely moved, just worked his jab. Let his reach do the work. Reese needed to get inside, needed to close distance. But she was tired. Harmon was fresh. He could keep her at range forever. Pick her apart from distance. 45 seconds. Another jab. Reese slipped outside, tried to close. Harmon circled away, maintained distance. 1 minute. The crowd grew restless. This was slower, more technical, less exciting than the previous fights. But Reese was thinking, watching. Harmon was big, strong, but he was slow. And when he got tired, when his arms got heavy from holding them up, he dropped his left hand. She'd seen it during training week. The habit was there. She just had to make him tired. Reese pressed forward, more aggressive now, forced Harmon to work, to jab more, to move more, to keep his hands up. Harmon obliged, through combinations. Nothing fancy, just basic boxing, but effective when you had an 80-inch reach. 1 minute 30. Harmon was breathing harder. His arms had been up for 90 seconds. Holding up 240 pounds of muscle required energy, required oxygen. Reese watched his left hand, still up, still protecting his jaw, still disciplined. 1 minute 45. Harmon threw a right cross, big, powerful. Reese ducked under, felt it pass over her head, and there it was, just for a second. Harmon's left hand dropped, 6 inches, maybe 8, recovering from the big right, the habit asserting itself through fatigue. Reese moved, didn't think, just reacted, years of training taking over. She stepped inside Harmon's guard, got past his reach, jumped, flying armbar, one of the most spectacular techniques in submission grappling, one of the most difficult to execute. Reese's body went horizontal in midair, her legs wrapped around Harmon's extended right arm, all her weight falling backward. Harmon's eyes went wide. He tried to pull back, but his arm was trapped. Reese's legs locked around it. Her hips pressed against his elbow joint. They crashed to the canvas. Reese's momentum and body weight pulled Harmon forward. He fell to his knees, his arm hyperextended. The elbow joint bent the wrong direction. The pop was audible throughout the gymnasium. Harmon screamed, tapped frantically with his free hand, slapping the canvas over and over. Reese released instantly, rolled away. Harmon clutched his elbow, face twisted in pain. Medical team rushing the ring. 2 minutes, 17 seconds. David beats Goliath. Physics beats strength. The crowd erupted. The noise was deafening. Reese couldn't hear herself think, couldn't hear anything except the ringing in her ears and her own heartbeat. Cole pulled her to the corner, sat her down, shoved water in her hands. Drink. Breathe. You've got 2 minutes and one more fight. Reese drank. Her hands were shaking. Adrenaline, exhaustion, emotion. 5 men, 5 victories, 17 minutes of combat. Every technique her father had taught her, every principle he'd written, every drill she'd run. It had worked. Phantom Protocol had worked. But she had one fight left, the hardest fight, against the best fighter. Staff Sergeant Jack Brennan, 6'2", 195, Golden Gloves boxer, 12 years of competition experience, undefeated in military tournaments, and he was fresh, hadn't fought yet, had spent the last 20 minutes watching, learning, adjusting his game plan. Reese looked across the ring. Brennan was doing arm circles, loosening up. His face was focused now. All the arrogance gone, replaced by professional assessment. He'd underestimated her. All of them had. But Brennan was smart enough to learn from mistakes. He wouldn't rush, wouldn't be predictable, wouldn't give her the easy openings the others had provided. This would be war. The medical team helped Harmon from the ring. His elbow would need x-rays, maybe surgery, but he'd recover. Reese had controlled the submission, released the moment he tapped. Harmon looked at her as they passed, nodded once. Respect from one warrior to another? The referee checked with Reese. Lieutenant, you able to continue? Yes, sir. Final match. Standard rules apply. 3-minute rounds if it goes to distance. You understand? Reese nodded. The referee waved Brennan forward. Final match. Lieutenant Reese Hawkins versus Staff Sergeant Jack Brennan. Touch gloves. Keep it clean. Brennan met Reese at center ring. Up close, he looked bigger. His reach advantage was significant. His shoulders thick with muscle. His stance perfect. They touched gloves. Brennan's expression was neutral. Professional. You've earned my respect tonight, Lieutenant. His voice was quiet. Just for her. But this ends now. We'll see, Staff Sergeant. The referee stepped back, raised his hand. Fight. Brennan didn't rush, didn't charge, didn't make the mistakes his Marines had made. He started in a textbook boxing stance. Orthodox, left foot forward, hands protecting his head, weight balanced perfectly. He threw a jab, fast, snapping. Reese slipped it. Brennan threw another. She slipped that too. He was working, establishing rhythm, testing range, building combinations. This was technical boxing, not brawling, not wild swinging. This was skill versus skill. Reese circled, tried to stay outside, tried to conserve energy. Her body was screaming. 5 fights, 17 minutes, maybe 30 seconds of actual rest. Brennan pressed forward, threw a 1-2 combination, jab, cross. Reese blocked the jab. The cross glanced off her shoulder, stung, real power behind it. He threw a hook. Reese ducked, came up inside his guard, tried to clinch, tried to take him down. Brennan sprawled. Good wrestling defense for a boxer. Pushed her away, reset to striking range. 30 seconds. Brennan was controlling the pace, controlling the distance, making Reese react to him. Another combination, jab, jab, cross, hook. The last hook caught Reese on the ear. Her head snapped sideways. Stars burst across her vision. The crowd gasped. Brennan pressed, smelled blood. Another combination. Reese covered up, blocked most of it, but a jab got through, split her lip. She tasted copper. 1 minute. Brennan was winning, landing the cleaner shots. Reese was tired, slow, her reactions a half step behind. Brennan threw a straight right. Reese slipped outside, countered with a low kick, caught his lead leg. Brennan absorbed it, didn't even check, just ate the kick and threw a cross that snapped Reese's head back. The round felt endless. Reese backpedaled, circled, tried to survive, tried to find an opening, but Brennan was technical, disciplined, not giving her anything. 2 minutes. Another combination caught Reese clean. Right eye swelling now, lip bleeding, vision blurring. Her father's voice whispered through the pain. When you're hurt, when you're tired, when you can't go on, that's when warriors show what they're made of. 2 minutes 30. Brennan threw a long jab. Reese slipped it, saw an opening. Brennan's right shoulder. For just a split second, his guard dropped as he extended. The old injury, the weakness she'd identified. But she was too tired, too slow. The moment passed before she could capitalize. The bell rang. 3 minutes. Round one complete. Reese stumbled to her corner, collapsed onto the stool. Cole was there. Water, towel, ice for her eye. He's winning, Reese gasped. I can't touch him. Yes, you can. Cole's voice was fierce. He's favoring that right shoulder. I saw it twice. He winced when he extended. I saw it too. Then stop trying to outbox him. You can't. You're a grappler. Get inside. Take him down. Make it your fight. I'm too tired. Then be tired on top of him. Cole grabbed her chin, made her look at him. Be tired while you're choking him, but don't be tired while he's punching you in the face. Reese stared at him. Your father fought for 11 minutes in Mogadishu. You fought for 20. But this is the fight that matters. This is the one people will remember. Cole released her chin. Give them something to remember. The referee called time. 1 minute rest complete. Reese stood. Her legs barely held her. She walked to center ring. Brennan looked fresh, confident, not even breathing hard. He'd controlled the first round completely. Round two. Fight. Brennan came forward immediately. Same technical boxing, same discipline. He threw a jab. Reese slipped. He threw another. She slipped again. But this time, instead of circling away, Reese pressed forward, got inside his reach. Brennan tried to tie her up, push her away like before. Reese grabbed his right arm, pulled, used his own push against her. When they push, you pull. Brennan's balance shifted, just slightly, just enough. Reese hooked his leg, dropped her weight. Basic trip, nothing fancy. They went down together. Brennan tried to land in guard, tried to control her from bottom, but Reese passed immediately. Years of grappling experience taking over. Side control. Brennan bucked, tried to create space, tried to stand. Reese moved with him, flowed like water, got to his back as he turned. Now she had the position she wanted. Brennan face down, Reese on his back, her legs wrapped around his waist, hooks in. Brennan was a good boxer, but he was not a good grappler. He tried to stand, pushed up with his hands. Reese went with him, stayed glued to his back. They got to their knees, Brennan still trying to shake her, but Reese's legs were locked. Body triangle, unbreakable. Her arms worked for his neck. Brennan defended well, chin down, hands protecting his throat. Boxing fundamentals saving him, for now. Reese was patient. She threw short punches to his ribs, legal strikes from back mount, not hard enough to damage, just annoying, making him uncomfortable, making him react. Brennan tried to hand fight, tried to grab her wrists. That opened his neck, slightly. Reese's arms snaked in, got under his chin. Her other hand grabbed her own bicep. Rear naked choke, but Brennan's chin was down. Good defense. The choke wasn't fully locked. Reese squeezed anyway, compressed his jaw, made it hurt, made him miserable. 30 seconds of battle. Brennan defending, Reese attacking, neither willing to give. Then Brennan made a mistake. Tired, frustrated, hurt. He tried to pull Reese's arm away from his throat, used both hands, committed fully to breaking the choke. That removed his hands from his neck defense. Reese adjusted immediately, got her forearm deeper. Across his throat now, not his jaw. The choke locked properly. Brennan felt it, knew it. His eyes went wide. He tried to tuck his chin again. Too late. The choke was in. He had maybe 10 seconds before he went unconscious. Maybe less. Reese could feel his pulse against her forearm. Fast, desperate. Brennan didn't tap. Stubborn. Proud. The same pride that had started this entire confrontation, the same arrogance that had made him say, "Try not to cry, princess." 5 seconds. Brennan's movements got sluggish, uncoordinated. 3 seconds. His arms went slack. The referee rushed in. "Stop! Stop! He's out!" Reese released, rolled away. Brennan collapsed face first onto the canvas. Unconscious. Beaten. The gymnasium exploded. 400 people on their feet, screaming, cheering. The noise was physical, a wave of sound that washed over everything. Reese knelt on the canvas. Couldn't stand yet. Her body had nothing left. She'd given everything. Every technique, every principle, every ounce of strength and will. 6 men, 6 victories, 22 minutes of combat against bigger, stronger, more experienced fighters. And she'd won. All of them. Medical team revived Brennan. It took longer this time. 30 seconds of unconsciousness. His eyes fluttered open. Confusion, disorientation, then awareness, then shame. He looked at Reese, still kneeling 10 feet away. Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Understanding, recognition, respect. Reese stood, legs shaking, walked over, extended her hand. Brennan stared at it, pride warring with honor. Finally, he took it. Let her help him up. The crowd's roar intensified. SEALs chanting, "Phantom, Phantom, Phantom." Reese raised Brennan's hand alongside her own. Warriors recognizing warriors. Monday morning. 0800 hours. 500 personnel stood in formation on the main parade ground. Dress uniforms, officers and enlisted, SEALs and support staff. 6 Marines standing behind their squad leader. The morning sun was already warm. Reese stood at parade rest beside Captain Morrison. Master Chief Cole behind her. Staff Sergeant Jack Brennan marched to the podium. Immaculate dress blues, every ribbon perfectly aligned, but his face showed the strain of what he was about to do. "Good morning," his voice carried across the parade ground. Strong, clear, no hesitation. "I'm Staff Sergeant Jack Brennan, United States Marine Corps, Force Recon. I stand before you today to issue a formal apology." He paused. "Let the words settle. To Lieutenant Reese Hawkins, to every female service member on this base, to every woman who has ever worn the uniform of the United States Armed Forces." Another pause. "I was wrong." The words hung in the air. Completely, utterly, inexcusably wrong. Brennan's hands trembled slightly at the podium. "I dismissed a fellow warrior based solely on gender. I allowed personal demons to become professional judgment. I said things designed to humiliate rather than evaluate." His voice cracked, just slightly. "Saturday night, Lieutenant Hawkins defeated my entire squad, 6 trained Marines, back to back, while exhausted. She did it with technique, discipline, and warrior spirit that humbles me." He turned, faced Reese directly. "Lieutenant Hawkins, you are everything a warrior should be. I'm sorry for doubting you. I'm sorry for trying to break you." Brennan saluted. Perfect. Crisp. "You have my deepest apology and my highest respect." Reese returned the salute. The applause started with the SEALs, spread through the formation. Even the Marines joined in. After the formation dispersed, Brennan found Reese near the memorial wall. She was standing in front of her father's name, Master Chief Warren Hawkins, the bronze letters catching the morning light. Brennan approached slowly, stopped a few feet away. That apology wasn't easy. No, but it was necessary. They stood in silence for a moment, both looking at the names on the wall. Then Brennan spoke again. "Quieter now. Can I tell you something?" Reese waited. "Molly. That was her name. My sister." Reese turned, looked at him. She remembered the photograph. The dark-haired girl with the bright smile. The name Brennan had whispered to himself when he thought no one was watching. She was 19, wanted to be a Marine more than anything in the world, had the drive, the determination, the heart. Brennan's voice thickened. I told her she was too weak, too small, that she'd get people killed, that women didn't belong in combat. He paused, swallowed hard. She believed me, gave up her dream. 2 years later, she took her own life. Now Reese understood everything. The anger, the cruelty, the desperate need to prove that women couldn't succeed in combat. Because if they could, it meant Molly could have too. I've spent 8 years making sure no woman ever proved me wrong about her. Brennan's voice broke. Because if they could do it, if they could succeed where I told her she'd fail, it meant I destroyed my sister's dream for nothing. It meant her death was partly my fault. Silence stretched between them. Finally, Reese spoke. You didn't kill Molly. Her death wasn't your fault. Brennan shook his head. If I hadn't listened to me. Reese stepped closer. What you said to her was wrong, but you didn't pull any trigger. You didn't make that final choice. She struggled with things neither of you fully understood. Brennan's tears fell freely now. No attempt to hide them, but here's what you need to understand. Every day you spend trying to prevent capable women from serving every time you tear someone down because of your guilt that dishonors Molly's memory. That's what makes her death meaningless. What am I supposed to do honor her by changing? By becoming the person who builds people up instead of tearing them down? By helping the next Molly succeed instead of fail? Brennan wiped his eyes, looked at her father's name on the wall. Teach me, he said quietly. Your system, Phantom Protocol. Let me learn it. Let me pass it on. Let me make sure the next Molly doesn't face what she did. What you did. Reese studied him for a long moment. Then she extended her hand. Tuesday. 0600. Bring your squad. Brennan took her hand. Not a handshake. A pact. 8 weeks transformed everything. Reese taught Phantom Protocol every morning. Showed Brennan and his Marines how technique could overcome size. How intelligence could defeat strength. Brennan became her best student. Approached training with obsessive focus. Wanted to understand not just the techniques, but the principles. Why they worked, how they worked. The physics and biomechanics her father had spent a lifetime perfecting. They became something unexpected. Friends, the kind forged through conflict and resolution, through respect earned in blood and sweat. Then came the Tuesday morning that changed everything. Reese was running the obstacle course with Brennan's squad when Captain Morrison found her. Lieutenant Hawkins, conference room. Immediately, bring Staff Sergeant Brennan. They jogged to the admin building, changed quickly, entered the conference room. Senior officers filled the chairs. A civilian in an expensive suit sat at the end of the table. The suit screamed intelligence community. Sit. Morrison's tone was clipped. Professional. They sat. We have a situation. Yemen. 8 American contractors taken hostage 3 days ago. A terrorist cell operating outside Sana'a. Intelligence puts them in a compound in the mountains. Morrison pulled up satellite imagery on the screen. We're assembling a rescue force. SEAL Team 5 leads. Marine Force Recon supports. His eyes locked on Reese. Lieutenant Hawkins. You'll command the CQB element. 12 operators, mixed SEAL and Marine. Your mission is simple. Get those hostages out alive. Reese's heart hammered. A real mission. Lives depending on her decisions. Yes, sir, I accept. Morrison turned to Brennan. Staff Sergeant, your squad will be part of Lieutenant Hawkins's element, under her command. Problems? Brennan didn't hesitate. No, sir, it's an honor. 72 hours of preparation followed. Intelligence updates, equipment checks, rehearsals, sand table exercises, communication protocols. Reese designed the assault plan, every detail, every contingency, every backup, her team, her responsibility. Mission night. Reese stood on the deck of USS Winston Churchill as the sun painted the sky orange and red. The ship cut through dark water toward the Yemeni coast. Master Chief Cole found her at the rail. Your father stood on a deck like this before Mogadishu, Cole said quietly. Same sunset, same nervous energy. Reese nodded, kept her eyes on the horizon. I'm scared, Master Chief. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. What if someone dies because of my call? Then you live with it, Like every commander in history, Cole turned to face her. But Reese, your plan is solid. Your team is ready. Trust yourself. Trust your training. Trust that your father knew what he was doing when he built Phantom Protocol for you. 2,100 hours. 12 operators gathered in the ship's hangar bay. Full combat gear, M4A1 rifles, night vision, suppressors, breach charges. Ready. Reese stood before them. 12 sets of eyes waiting for her to lead. Gentlemen, 8 Americans are in enemy hands. 4 days of captivity. Every hour increases execution risk. Our job is simple. Get in. Get them out. Get everyone home alive. She activated the tactical display. We insert via RHIB at 0215. 2-mile overland approach. Hit time 0300. When guards are tired, she walked them through every phase. Insertion, approach, breach, extraction, rules of engagement, deadly force authorized. But hostage safety is priority 1. If you have to choose between taking a shot and risking a hostage, you hold fire. We accept risk to ourselves, never to them. Any questions? None. Gear up. We launch in 30. The insertion was flawless. 2 RHIBs hit the beach at 0215. No contact. The team moved inland, fast, silent, 2 miles through rough terrain and darkness. Reese led point, Brennan behind her, the stack following in perfect formation. They reached the compound perimeter at 0255. Through her night vision, Reese studied the target. 3 sentries, bored, smoking, completely unaware. She hand-signaled the team. 3 SEAL snipers moved into position. SR-25 rifles, suppressed. Reese counted down on her fingers. 3, 2, 1. 3 suppressed shots. 3 sentries dropped. Silent. Dead before they hit the ground. Reese moved forward. The stack flowed behind her. They reached the main building. Brennan placed the breach charge on the door. 3, 2, 1. The charge detonated. The door blew inward. Reese was first through. M4 up. Night vision painting the world green. Hallway clear. She moved. The stack flowed. Contact. 3 hostiles in the next room. Armed. Reacting to the breach. Reese's weapon spoke. Controlled bursts. First target down. Brennan engaged the second. A SEAL took the third. 7 seconds. 3 threats neutralized. They kept moving. Stairs. Reese led the ascent. Top of stairs. Another hallway. Arabic voices. Angry. Confused. Reese moved fast now. Found the door. Locked. Brennan's shotgun. 1 blast to the lock. The door crashed open. 8 Americans inside. Bound. Frightened. Alive. Reese's team flooded in. Cutting zip ties, checking injuries. Moving hostages toward the exit. All 8 accounted for. All 8 mobile. Then gunfire erupted from below. More hostiles. The compound was awake. Move! Move! Reese commanded. The team hustled the hostages toward the stairs. Brennan and 3 Marines held rear guard, covering fire. They reached the ground floor. Front door was suicide. Courtyard lit up with muzzle flashes. PKM machine gun fire. Back door. Find it. Brennan's voice came through the radio. Back exit located. Clear path to extraction point. Move. Fighting withdrawal. Hostages in the center. Operators forming a protective perimeter. They burst through the back door into darkness. The night swallowed them. 1 mile out. Ambush. Muzzle flashes from a ridgeline. PKM machine gun raking their position. Reese's team went prone. Returned fire. But they were pinned. Couldn't advance with hostages in the open. Brennan's voice through the radio. Hawkins, I see a flanking route. Let me take 4 and get behind them. Do it. We'll suppress for 30 seconds. Roger. Reese went full auto. The SEALs followed. Maximum firepower. Brennan and 4 Marines moved like ghosts. 30 seconds. Muzzle flashes shifted on the ridge. Brennan's team engaging from the rear. The ambush collapsed. Then Brennan's voice came through the radio. Strained. I'm hit. Right leg. Can't walk. Reese made the decision instantly. Team, secure hostages. Move them to extraction point. I'm going back. Cole's voice crackled through from the ship. Negative. You're the commander. Send someone else. Not happening. Hawkins, that's an order. Reese was already moving. He's my Marine Master Chief. My responsibility. She sprinted back toward Brennan's position. 60 yards. Under fire. She found him behind a rock. Right leg bleeding. Tourniquet applied. But he couldn't walk. "What are you doing?" Brennan gasped. "Shut up!" Reese grabbed his tactical vest. Deadlifted him. Fireman's carry. 195 pounds of Marine on her 125-pound frame. She ran, Brennan on her shoulders, legs burning, lungs screaming. Brennan returned fire from his position, covering their retreat. 50 yards to safety. 40. 30. Reese's vision narrowed. Tunnel vision from exertion. She couldn't feel her legs. Just kept moving. 20 yards. 10 yards. Reese's legs gave out. She collapsed. Brennan rolled free. SEAL medics grabbed him, dragged him the last 10 yards to cover. Cole's voice through the radio. "Air support inbound. 30 seconds. Hold position. Copy. Holding. F-18. Hornets screamed overhead. 30mm cannons shredded the hostile positions. The incoming fire stopped. Extraction helicopters landed on the beach. MH-60 Blackhawks. Reese helped load the hostages. Counted heads. All 8 accounted for. Then her team. Counted again. 12 operators. All alive. Brennan grabbed Reese's hand as they loaded him. "You saved my life after everything I did. You're my Marine now, Staff Sergeant. Warriors don't leave anyone behind." She squeezed his hand. "Besides, we've got training Tuesday. You're not getting out of it." Brennan laughed, then winced. "Yes, ma'am." The helicopters lifted off. Yemen falling away below them. Mission success. 8 hostages rescued. 0 American KIA. 1 WIA who would fully recover. 6 months later. Lieutenant Commander Reese Hawkins stood in the DevGru training facility at Dam Neck Annex, Virginia Beach. The promotion had come with the assignment. SEAL Team 6, the most elite unit in naval special warfare. Brennan had recovered fully, accepted a position as Marine liaison to DevGru. Now Reese taught advanced hand-to-hand combat. 32 students from every special operations branch. Brennan assisted. He'd mastered Phantom protocol during his recovery. After class, one of the female rangers raised her hand. "Ma'am, how do you overcome the mental part, everyone saying you're too small, too weak?" Reese smiled. "You don't overcome it. You make it irrelevant. You become so undeniably good that capability speaks louder than doubt." Brennan added from across the room. "And for those of us who doubted, we eventually learn, sometimes the hard way. I got choked unconscious in front of 400 people. Best lesson I ever received." The class laughed. That evening, Reese walked to the memorial garden at Dam Neck. Black granite, engraved names, the cost of being the tip of the spear. She sat on a bench, opened her notebook, not her father's notebook, her own. Phantom Protocol, Volume 2. She wrote for an hour, recording everything, so that someday someone else could learn what she'd learned. When she finished, she walked to the memorial wall. Her father's name wasn't there. He was on the wall at Coronado. But this wall held names of other warriors, other fathers, other daughters waiting for someone who would never come home. Reese touched the cold granite, thought about her father, thought about 13 years of not crying. She told herself it was strength, discipline, control. But sitting here now, she understood the truth. It wasn't strength that had kept her tears away. It was fear, fear of feeling, fear of breaking, fear of being human. Her father had never wanted that. He'd wanted her to feel everything, to cry when she needed to cry, and then to wipe her eyes and keep fighting. Tears after the mission, not during. Reese had been on one long mission for 13 years. Maybe it was time to let it end. She pulled out her father's notebook, the original, worn and faded now, opened it to the last page, his handwriting, slightly shaky. Being a warrior isn't about never crying. It's about crying, wiping your eyes and getting back to work. Reese closed the notebook, pressed it against her chest, and for the first time in 13 years, she let herself cry. The tears came hot and unstoppable. For her father, for 13 years without him, for the weight of his legacy, for everything she'd held inside. She cried for the little girl who'd lost her hero. She cried for the woman who'd become one. She cried because she was finally strong enough to feel everything and still stand. When the tears finally slowed, Reese wiped her eyes, stood up, looked at the stars. I did it, Dad. Everything you believed I could do. Everything you prepared me for. I did it. She took a deep breath. I have a deployment next month. Afghanistan. 6 months. I'll come back and tell you all about it. She touched his dog tags, still warm against her chest. I love you. She turned and walked away, her father's black belt around her waist, his dog tags against her heart, his legacy carried forward in every student she taught. Try not to cry, princess. Brennan had said that to her once, a lifetime ago, but her father had taught her the real truth. Warriors do cry. They cry for the fallen. They cry for the past. They cry because the work breaks pieces of them. And only the broken truly understand what it takes to keep going. They cry. They wipe their eyes. They get back to work. Not because they're told to try not to cry, because they're warriors.